That's right, Tuesday. Here we like to spotlight different things. We try. A lot of times it's something we have to eat. Sometimes we are stressed out because it doesn't sound like it's going to be good, or maybe it's a viral sensation that's going to be terrible.
It's usually gross.
Yeah, but this time it's going to be delicious.
Yeah, finally we got something good.
Ahmad reached out to Michael's Cookie Jar. If you have worked in the tunnels downtown, you've seen his location there, or you've seen it off Wesleyan in the West U area. If you're heading from 59 towards Bissonnette, you see it on the right-hand side in that Wesleyan shopping center with Marshalls or Home Goods or whatever they call
across
it.
Petco.
Next to
Where drop
Petco.
off your mail, get a cookie, drop off the mail.
Hi, Michael.
Hey there, good morning.
Hey, Michael.
How are ya?
All right, you know what's funny? Ahmad did not know the history I have with Michael's Cookie Jar when he reached out to you. But I remember my church is the Greek Orthodox Cathedral on Montrose, and there was a Diedrich Coffee there, right where the Shell station is at West Alabama, across the way. And when I used to go after church, we'd go get like a frozen coffee, and there were these delicious shortbread cookies and these delicious biscottis, and it had your little stamp, Michael's Cookie Jar. And I had asked the Diedrich people, well, where does this come from? This is really good. And he goes, oh, this guy just brings them here and drops them off, and we sell them, and he does like special orders. And that's when I first reached out to you, because I have had 3 kids now. I've been married 16 years. You have done the cookies, the private order cookies for their christenings, for my bridal shower, my baby showers, my wedding, my
I never knew.
Yeah, my
never
rehearsal
knew.
dinner, my giveaway boxes for the people that came to the hotel to stay for my wedding. I put some Michael's Cookie Jar cookies in there. It said Rule and Tassos on them. You have made the cookies of my life, Michael.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be part of your life
so
and all the special
crazy.
occasions.
My mom
will
still has
say,
some of them in the freezer.
Hands down, best cookies I've ever had. I started taking my daughter there when she was 10 years old. And it was like, we'd always have she'd have like a ballet rehearsal or something. And that was a special treat day when we'd
Even back then we
in.
talk about it. So I remember you telling those stories.
And it's the
so
shortbread
good.
has like orange or something in it. Like it's something specific, like a citrusy shortbread,
You
right?
need to be a spokesperson for Michael's Cookie Jar. You have described everything to a T. Yes. Tiny bit of orange oil
Yeah.
to make it taste a little bit special, not
It's really
just
good.
plain, you know?
So you started out in your kitchen, and that's when you were delivering to Diedrich, and then you got
I was
your
sharing a
brick-and-mortar?
kitchen with a lovely lady in Tomball who did wedding cakes, and she let me
Okay.
share a kitchen. And I did it for 3 years, and that's when I was selling cookies through Diedrich's, one of my very first customers.
Yeah.
And they would sell our stuff, but also you could pick up your special orders there. So that's
Right.
that's
how
where
I
you
got
first
'em.
saw us, which is a long time ago. Now it's Handy's Duzo, but it's gone through many iterations. But now we have our own shops. We have one in West U. I've been there going on 16 years.
Wow.
And
That's
then
awesome.
our downtown store is over 11 years old. So
That's amazing.
been doing it for a minute.
Now,
I
I would
can tell you don't sample your cookies as much because
now you're in shape. You're fit.
If I was
I'm
working there, I'd be eating
trying.
every
It's a
day.
constant battle.
What do you call these kind of cookies? These are my favorite of all time. The frosted
Iced
That's just
shortbreads.
Yeah, the
iced
iced
shortbreads.
Those are the ones that have the little drop of orange oil.
Oh
in
my
it.
God,
So
they're
good.
so
Yeah.
good.
So it's Pride Month, and you've got Pride cookies, and there is a special donation that you're making to the Montrose Center Hatch Youth Program, because you said you usually make charitable donations to youth organizations.
Our
right?
charitable giving is mostly focused around children, and Hatch Youth at the Montrose Center is a super important organization to help queer kids, under the age of 21, just become productive, happy adults.
That's great.
Really
Love
wonderful.
it. Love it.
So
That's cool.
they got Pride cookies that you can get just this month, obviously.
This month, yeah.
And every cookie sold, they're donating money to the Montrose Hatch Youth Program. But it's not just about the Pride cookies. You got all kinds of different cookies. that you
I brought a
us
lot,
today.
and I wish I brought some milk chasers because after a while it may all seem like one flavor, but we got some great stuff here. We've got our flavor of the week, which is our peach crumb cookie.
What's that?
We have roasted peaches in there, so we have a sample of that. We have our HTX cookie, which is our signature chocolate chip cookie made with brown butter, 3 kinds of chocolate, toffee for mostly chocolate, and sea salt. We have this is very limited here. Our pecan jack. It's
Okay.
got some booze in it.
Oh, wow. Jack
but it's
Daniels.
chocolate chip and a little
wants
Jack
that one.
Daniels and pecans.
How many cookies do you eat before you get a buzz?
Maybe 3 or 4.
Maybe the dough is also- What's that? Looks like a
And that's
Fruity
our
Pebbles
that's our
cookie?
Fruity Pebbles cookie. That is a
Ooh.
flavor of the month. That is amazing. It tastes
love
just like
Fruity
Fruity
Pebbles.
Pebbles.
Is it filled? Because it kind of looks real fat. Is it filled with anything? It's just a real big
no,
cookie.
It's just cookie with the Fruity Pebbles on top, but the cookie has and we were trying to make an orange creamsicle cookie. And so we put orange in the cookie, and then it tasted like Fruity Pebbles. I was like, all right, let's just skip orange and put Fruity Pebbles on it.
That's cute.
It's
Now,
really yummy.
If you had to say, what's your favorite pick? Like, what's your favorite
Your go-to?
cookie that you have?
Oh my goodness, which of your 3 kids are your favorite?
No,
I don't know how to
I know.
answer
That's a
this.
tough one.
Yeah.
What's a standout?
I'm very proud of our HTX cookie, our signature chocolate chip cookie.
Let's
Because
start with that one. Let's go
Yeah,
with
that's
that
all
one.
I'll be-
it's a
that.
grown-up cookie. It's got a lot of flavors going on.
All right, start with Rula. Here we go.
Here, I'll put a piece there. Since you have the glove, you can put one for Eric.
Can't go wrong
There
with
we
that.
go.
And then one
Just
for
throw some
mine.
on my plate.
Oh, here. Here's your
Thank
plate.
you, sir.
So there's sea salt on this cookie, 3 different kinds of chocolate, and some toffee.
Oh,
House-made
my
toffee from our
God.
friends at Mostly Chocolate. Mhm.
Oh, it looks
Wow,
like a
they
chocolate
just
chip
melt.
cookie with, oh my God, it's all gooey.
You
and
guys, these
delicious.
cookies are literally out of the oven. I was like
my
racing
God.
the ovens this morning to get here on
Oh
time.
my God, that is like heaven.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. I like this one.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's good.
I think we should have ended with this one.
Yeah,
You know, if
we
you beat
should
that one.
have started with the
How do you
vanilla
top
cookie.
that? That is amazing.
That's good.
Wow.
Man.
Okay, we're silent now.
That's the only
Right.
time you can make us quiet is put food in our mouth.
I know. It may have
What's
been
next?
a tactical error, all of us eating at the same time.
What's next?
Let's look at the peach one.
I think you need to try the peach one
Never
because
tried
that's
peach.
it's a little bit sweet, so it'll counterbalance your salty.
Okay. And there's crumbs on it like
Oh,
a peach
thank
cobbler. Right? The topping looks like a peach
Yep.
cobbler. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Michael's Cookie Jar. You can find them off Wesleyan. You can find them in the tunnels downtown. How about your
Wow.
Instagram? What's your Instagram?
Michael's Cookie Jar.
Yeah, full thing.
Oh, my
so
God,
this is
that's
fresh
good.
peaches and
Is
a
that nice?
crumble.
Yeah, we roast the peaches in the oven to kind of reduce them and concentrate them.
amazing.
And caramelize them a little bit. And
Amad's living his best life right now. He can't take it. He's about to
This
cry.
is so good.
Oh my God.
Is that one that you can get all the time, or is that one just for?
it's a weekly special, so it's this
Okay.
week only.
Okay, wow.
Next week we're doing our strawberry lemonade cookie. Will be
Oh,
the
wow.
special.
Well, get in line, people. Go
Wow.
get that.
Do you ever
peach
have
one.
people like freak out? Like, what do you mean only a week? That's not fair.
You
Can
know-
you just make some for me?
We have people that come in. You know, every July we go and pick blueberries in Conroe around Memorial Day, and then we do a whole blueberry month where we have all blueberry specials, and we do it in July. And honestly, we have people come in weekly. One of the blueberry cookies, it's in July. It's coming up
But
in
can
2
people
weeks.
Somebody
special
said the
order
blueberry
a
lemon
cookie?
chews, they
Oh,
said.
of
Like
course.
that's maybe not on the menu right now?
Well,
Probably
kind
hard
of
to
shy
try
away
and-
from that. You know, it's hard.
If you throw enough money at
If you want 100 of them, yes.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
like
want
a big
100 of
party.
them, yeah.
Yes.
Big wedding, and they
well,
would
we
want.
do custom decorated cookies all the time.
Right.
And we do, that's always special order.
But you can't do the blueberry cookies in December because it's not blueberry season.
We don't have the blueberries.
Right, unless you want to do
I
them
want to
for
try the Fruity Pebble one now.
Yeah, I want to try
Fruity
Pebble.
Pebbles.
That was my jam as a kid.
Yeah.
I was more of a
Cereal.
Cocoa Pebble guy.
Somebody texted about the blueberry lemon chews, Michael. And I know you did bring a lemon something there. What's that lemon?
Oh, this is our regular lemon chew.
wow.
Which is also amazing.
Oh my God, that's good. Wow.
Fruity Pebble for the win also.
Man,
Make some coffee with no sugar in it.
what a fun job.
I
Man,
know.
it's good.
How do you restrain yourself? Like, I want to eat
you
all
know
day
what?
long.
I guess
It's-
you're working all day with it.
The
You're probably-
downfall is the first nibble, the first little taste, and then your taste buds kind of get a little feeling for it, and then I'm nibbling all day. So I just don't do the first one.
Do you have like a meeting, like on Monday? You guys try and create stuff.
Oh,
You
we
all
have a-
taste stuff, and you go, "All right, this is really good. Let's do this one."
We have a morning meeting every day, and we talk about what's coming up and flavors and ideas, and get input from everybody. So it's really a team effort in so many of these things. Absolutely.
Well, so
I
far,
wonder-
us 3 for 3. That was
Oh, yeah, they're all
I'm 4
outstanding.
for 4. I had some lemon while he was talking.
Hey, you skipped ahead of us.
The lemon chew is delicious.
Oh, really? Okay, we'll get to that next. Have you ever, like, when you're experimenting, taken a nibble and like, nope, 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 nope?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe there's like
absolutely.
a viral thing that y'all thought y'all tried and like, no, this does not work. Like pickle juice in a cookie.
oh, yeah,
know?
yeah. You're like, I'm not doing that one.
What's scarier is when we come up with a new flavor and it seems like it's amazing the first time. It's like, no, this can't be right. We have to make 10 of it before you get it right. But every once in a while, you hit it, and
Yeah.
it's great.
Did you
So,
ever, maple bacon had a big run for a while. Did you ever have a maple bacon? type
years
thing?
ago, we did our Bronco Buster cookie, which was bacon pecan for rodeo.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? About 10 years ago, bacon on everything was the
It-
bomb. Kind
it
of like
was it.
Dubai is the bomb.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
the Dubai chocolates
But
everywhere.
bacon on everything now isn't the bomb, so it we kind of put it away for a while. But
Right.
it's these things all come back. Everything is revived at some point.
Well, then you get into the fall and you've got pumpkin spice everything.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet potato
pumpkin.
cookies.
Ooh, yummy.
Oh, wow.
How did you get into this business?
Yeah, because you started with that shared kitchen, but did you have like a corporate job before? Or what'd you do?
No, I
Michael?
went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park. I worked for the Four Seasons for 13 years in Dallas and in Houston. And then, like a lot of folks, corporate life. Why am I working so hard for someone else? So I'll do my own thing, and I'll work twice as hard and make less money.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a scary. It's a
Exactly.
gutsy thing.
Twice as hard for less money when
Like-
you go into business for yourself.
When you want to launch your own company, I imagine it's very frightening to take those first steps.
You know what? Being a little bit stupid helps. A
Yeah.
little bit
Ignorance is
delusional.
bliss,
That's
right?
true. Good point.
if I look back at the decisions I made and be like, what was I wasn't thinking. I was just like hoping a prayer. I was like, yeah, this will work.
But you're happy and you're successful.
Yeah, it's love. And, you know, it's interesting. This is something for me that I've actually grown to love it even more as I do it. Like, I just love hospitality, serving others. That's really what we do is we're serving others. And I love that. And in this time, we have to give more than we ask for sometimes. So we try to do that every day with our team, our friendly service, our amazing cookies.
Well, especially, Michael, for people to walk in, you don't have people frowning in a cookie store.
Not
You've
often.
got children with smiles in their faces and their
That's a
eyes
good
are
point.
dancing.
Yeah, people are happy that you're not the dentist.
You're not the
Absolutely.
dentist. Kids aren't crying walking into your store.
Well, and
they're like so excited their parents said yes to a Michael's Cookie Jar visit, right?
And we've been around long enough that I'm seeing the kids all grown up.
Oh.
And they're coming back from the college breaks.
Oh, how
and I'm just like,
nice.
wow.
Hey, give it enough time.
I've seen 'em
You'll
grow,
have
yeah.
you'll have generations where it's like,
Yeah.
wait, I remember when you were a kid. Now you've got your own kids.
Do you
Absolutely.
have, tell us about the cookie happy hour for school kids, since we were talking about it. Now that
We
summertime.
do a happy hour every day at both of our stores. They're at different times. Downtown it's from 2 to 3. At the Westview store it's 3:30 to 4:30.
Oh, it's not just for school kids then. It's every day in the
it's
summer.
It's
okay.
nonstop. We've been
Oh,
doing
nice.
it forever.
And if people want to find you online or your Instagram account, what do they?
Michael's Cookie
Michael's
Jar.
Cookie Jar.
Michael's
Yeah.
Cookie
Real
Jar.
basic.
But what is the happy
Yeah,
hour?
what-
Just
yeah,
for
what's
that
happy
hour?
Happy hour. Normally our cookies are $2.75 each. Happy hour is 2 for $3.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, that's
One
a
happy hour per
steal.
person.
Okay, good.
Super popular, especially downtown. All the
Yeah.
office folks line up
For the
and
sugar
they get
time at
there.
3 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh,
You're falling
absolutely.
asleep.
Because they have like another hour or two left at work. They're like, I need to
Absolutely.
Pick me up.
pick me
It
up.
is Michael's Cookie Jar. That is the name of the cookie company of the samples that we are having today. It is Pride Month, and they have special shortbread cookies. If you buy a Pride-themed cookie, they are donating to the Montrose Center Hatch Youth Program. And throughout the year, Michael's Cookie Jar donates to children's charities all the time. So for Pride Month, it is for the Hatch Youth Program.
Thanks
you
for coming
so
in here.
much.
Absolutely. This was great fun.
God,
Best
these
cookies
fresh
I've
baked
ever
cookies.
had.
Y'all,
Really,
it
really
smells
good.
so great in our studio just
Right.
from the fresh baked cookies
Yep.
in here. So this is a great thing. Thank you so much for waking up so early for us, Michael.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank
What's
you.
my next birthday? I need shortbread cookies for.
There we go.
I didn't make an order. All right, coming up next, I'm super excited about this. I feel like I have lived and breathed Titanic since I was in the 3rd grade with my first book report.
I was just talking to Mark. He was down there in 2000. Wow. The last time they picked up the artifacts and stuff from the Titanic and the stories.
Down in the sub.
He was down there, and
Wow.
I mean, he's one of the experts in America. He's probably in the top 2, I bet. And in the world, he's probably in the top 5.
The Titanic exhibit is in Dallas. We have a chance for you to learn more about that exhibit and get you there. And we're going to hear all about his excursion down to the bottom of the sea to the Titanic ruins, the wreckage, and what you can see in this exhibit and how they bring it to life. Next on The Rule and Ryan Show with Eric.
Back to the Rule and Ryan Show with Eric.
Okay, guys, I don't know about the rest of the gang, but I am super stoked. I know they are too, but I feel like I'm going to geek out right now because my first book report ever as a kid was about the Titanic. And ever since then, I've had this thing with the Titanic, the Titanic, the Titanic. I've seen lots of exhibitions around the world, and the Titanic exhibition that is in Dallas right now is one of the most fantastic ones. We've got Mark Loch here. He is the creative producer of that exhibit, and we welcome him to the Rule and Ryan Show with Eric. Hello, Mark.
Hey.
Pleasure to be with you.
Good morning,
this
Mark.
This is exciting.
Now our key is here, guys. We get geeked.
Uh-huh.
We got to be careful with our questions because sometimes
Yes.
we'll ask a question on top of a question.
Right. Because we're so geeked out for you, Mark.
So much we want to know.
Okay, just to set the stage for our audience, you have actually been in a submersible that has gone down to the wreckage of the Titanic.
One of the most amazing, you can imagine, experiences of my life.
You've seen it with your own eyes.
Seen it with my own eyes.
How
You
long
get-
ago was that?
The last dive to the Titanic to recover artifacts was in the year 2000. I
And
went on that dive.
How many people were with you in that dive?
Well, you have 2 people in the sub, 2 other people, a
Yeah.
total of 3.
Okay.
It's like sitting in the front of a small car in the front seat with those 2 other people for 12
Eric could never
hours.
make it.
Nope.
His anxiety
I'm
would
out.
never
Well,
make it. How many
I
hours?
had 12 hours.
12 hours to get there?
hours
Yeah.
just to get down there.
Well, 2 hours and 15 minutes to get down.
Okay.
About 8 hours on the bottom.
Okay.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Okay, that's what
coming
I thought.
up.
2 hours.
And the
And-
pressure. I mean, did physically, what did it feel like going down there? Could you experience that?
Fortunately, yeah, the sub is completely pressurized.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
6 inches thick of titanium.
Mm-hmm.
When you get inside, I'll never forget that bright, beautiful day like today, middle of the North Atlantic Ocean. You get inside, and they screw that hatch down above you, and you're like, what am I doing?
Oh my gosh, Mark.
And that if you saw James Cameron's film, which I'm guessing you did,
of course, yes.
the same subs from the film. Remember at the beginning when they're going down, and that's probably the only similarity because that movie was. And James Cameron was gracious enough to come to one of the exhibitions. We talked about this.
Wow.
But that was more of a portrayed as a treasure hunt, right?
Yeah.
The artifacts that are recovered, it's a much more precise and reverent thing.
Right,
But
because it is a grave site.
it is a grave site.
And you're
Exactly.
taking the items from a grave site.
Takes time. You're not
But
just
exactly.
being
Sometimes
rude and just grabbing stuff.
That's right.
So you
That's right.
research where specifically you're going to go in the Titanic. Like ahead of time, hey, we're going to look in this room because we believe this is here.
Well,
Or do you?
You
Or is that
can't
just from the
get
movie?
inside.
Yeah.
You can be on the perimeter. Remember when Titanic sank? It basically broke in half at
Right.
the surface, and then it fell 2.5 miles to the ocean floor. And now the front and the back, the bow, the stern, are separated by about 1/3 of a mile.
Oh, wow.
So one of the fortunate things for me, because I was kind of the observer, if you will, doing the exhibition, was we had the opportunity to go not only to the bow section, but the stern section around the debris field. And that's where the artifacts are recovered from the ocean floor. But that first moment, you take this 2-hour and 15-minute journey. It gets cold inside the sub. You're almost in complete darkness the whole time. And you know that feeling like when you go to a concert or a play and the house lights go down. And there's that moment of, it's about to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember touching down on the ocean floor, and the pilot of the sub, Russian pilot, spoke very little English, pointed to the porthole that was right in front of me. And I got my face up to that porthole and looked out into the black, heard a click. And then slowly the lights came up on the exterior, but I'm looking at the ocean floor. It's 2 feet away from me. But my eyes followed the ocean floor. 100 feet away was the bow of the Titanic.
Oh, that'd be so surreal.
King of the world moment, if you will.
So you saw the very front of the ship.
Not
Where
only
in
did I see it,
Yeah.
and by the way, I take no credit for this. I was just along for the ride.
Right.
But we kind of flew, it felt like, because very clear at that point, up towards the bow and right over and underneath.
And it was
the bow.
clear, like a clear vision.
Incredibly
because
clear.
the lights.
Now you have to wait
Yeah.
sometimes when you're moving the sub because it'll stir up the silt and the sand on the bottom. But then 8 hours of not only excitement but emotional moments as well. I remember going right by Captain Smith's cabin, and the exterior wall of the cabin has fallen away, almost like it's a movie set, but it's not a movie. This is a real thing.
Gosh.
And you're looking inside, and there's his brass bed still there, his tub still filled with water. Sorry. Let's go.
Let me reintroduce you,
Titanic
Mark,
joke. I like it.
to our audience. Mark Loch is the creative producer of Titanic the Exhibition. It is in Dallas right now. It has gone around the world, and it is a completely immersive experience. If you've seen one before, it's not like one you've seen before. However, there are things that you have recreated that because I told Mark off there, I went to one at the Field Museum in Chicago, and you said you were part of that one.
Yep.
And so what I have seen is the Grand Staircase. Even at Moody Gardens, they had one where they recreate the Grand Staircase. You have a recreation of the deck, right? Where it's like Starry Night.
The
Can you tell
promenade
me?
deck?
The
Right,
promenade
exactly.
deck. The Meet Me Under the Clock Rose,
The
Jack
Grand
Dawson said,
Staircase,
the
you
Grand
got to.
Staircase.
Yeah.
Do you have steerage rooms
Yes.
and first class rooms?
All of those things. You know, the story is tragic at the end, but it started out as a very hopeful, energized story. The rich and famous on board, the immigrants coming to this country for a better life.
Yeah.
So the exhibition has that feel. It's very exciting and inspiring at the beginning. And you do walk down a first class hallway. You look in a first class cabin, the grand staircase. You walk down a third class hallway, go down into the boiler room, as you mentioned, out on the promenade deck. And as you remember from Chicago, you come face to face with the iceberg. That's real ice, and it has a real, I think, powerful message for folks.
I would say
Can
so.
you explain to those who haven't seen it or want to go see it in Dallas, when y'all do the iceberg, is it an ice wall you put your hand on, or what's the attraction there?
Well,
that you,
it's
interactive.
It's ice to begin with, and it's theatrically, it's at the end of a very dramatic gallery, I think, with iceberg, the ice in the shape of an iceberg. But as you get closer to it, you feel the cold.
You do.
And you know, when we thought about this, we don't want it to be hokey, but the message was, you put your hand on that ice, and you're invited to keep it on as long as you can. Well, folks that found themselves in the water that night were in water colder than that ice because salt water freezes at a lower temperature. And of course, hardly anybody really drowned, if you will. They perished from hypothermia.
Okay.
And it's a very powerful moment.
Because you can't really keep your hand on that
No.
ice too long, y'all. It is freezing cold, and you want to pull your hand away, but imagine you are immersed in
No,
that.
this is so weird to be like this close to some artifacts.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Mark
yeah.
brought us
Like
artifacts
it's
live
right
in
there.
the studio.
We're not touching them. We're just looking
No,
at
no,
these.
no.
He's
He
on
has
with
white
gloves.
gloves on. We are not touching
But remember,
them.
the Titanic sank in 1912, correct?
That's right.
Now, did you, when you went down there, like, do you just put it in the little sub, the stuff, or do you have like a?
Yeah, how do you collect it?
Well, the
You
artifacts...
can't bring a dumpster down there to like put it
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
like
yeah.
bring up.
Yeah.
How do you do
You've
it?
got robotic arms, right, that either reach out and have like pinchers, if you
Okay.
will, that can pick something up. Some of the more fragile stuff is done with suction cups.
Okay.
Like a
Dish?
teacup or a dish or something like that. But there are trays underneath the sub that extend out, so something gets picked up, put in the tray, and then is pulled back into the sub. Sub comes up, and then the team that takes care of the artifacts.
So it's got a lot of
removes them.
stuff underneath that you could.
That's right.
Are there rules, Mark, about how much you could take? Like when you went down the submersible to the wreckage of the Titanic, were there rules on you can't take more than 10 things? Or maybe you find something that another
Yeah,
The
or did you have a
submersible
plan
is already
beforehand?
collected.
Like, we're going down there. We need one
Yeah.
brass bed. We need this, or is it just you go down there and see what you can
The
get?
first rule, and the wreck of the Titanic is
Who owns it?
overseen by, well, it's in international waters, right? It was a British ship. Why does an American company have the salvage rights to the Titanic?
Oh, really? I didn't know
yeah.
that.
And that's because an international court, along with the U.S. court, decided, this site needs to be protected. It protects itself, sort of, because it's not something you can just go down and put
Right,
your
right, right.
snorkel and fins and, go down to the Titanic. But the artifacts are only recovered from an area called the debris field.
Okay.
Not inside the ship.
Okay.
So imagine when that ship broke in half and it fell, all those things kind of fell out of it onto the
Yeah.
ocean floor.
So only the debris field are the artifacts that we see.
That's right.
And you said some of the stuff had come up to the surface, or some
Yeah, and I
exhibits
brought
had
those
that?
to, well, this piece here, and Rula, you can put on white gloves later and touch a piece of the
Yeah.
Titanic.
Oh, wow.
Picture of that.
Yeah. After the ship sank, of course, lifeboats were fewer than they should have been, as we know.
Right.
The passengers that were saved, they were in those lifeboats. They were picked up by the Carpathia, the ship that was nearby. But days later, the White Star Line sent out ships to recover the bodies from the ocean surface.
Right.
And those were ships that were for hire. And one of the ships, as they were recovering bodies, the ship's carpenter, William Parker, on a ship called the Minia, saw a long piece of wood floating on the ocean surface. And being a carpenter, he found it interesting.
Right.
Picked it up. It was later identified as a piece from the grand staircase.
Wow.
And he made a frame out of that wood as a tribute, because imagine how moved he was.
Oh,
To see
yeah.
it.
I was
There
thinking
it
about
was.
deceased.
Yeah. And this is part of that frame from the grand
Gosh.
staircase that we brought in today.
It's so,
Yeah.
I mean, gives you chills because because to us, you could look at it a Hollywood style and be like, oh, it's this movie. But you've really, you put your mind in the deepness of that, of all these families that were gut punched and heartbroken over, is my loved one of the ones that was saved? And, this is a tragic story of thousands of people losing their lives because of arrogance and just God himself cannot sink this ship. We don't need lifeboats. Isn't it true, Mark, that because of the Titanic tragedy, that is where the rules came into play, that you have to have a boat for
That was
every
it.
soul on the
Can you imagine
ship?
not having enough lifeboats
No,
for every
not
passenger?
now.
But it was arrogance. It was not only that. The chairman of the White Star Line, Bruce Ismay, said, "You know what? Some of these lifeboats clog the view of the ocean for the first class passengers.
Terrible.
So even some that were originally designed on the Titanic,
I'd be like,
were
well, then you don't get to
Or
be
left off.
first
That's
class, you
why
don't get
they
to be
were
on the
left
boat.
off, because they didn't want to make the view ugly.
Well, the first design, or the
view.
the
The
view.
Yeah.
Yes, the design
That's crazy.
never had enough to begin with, but then even more removed for a better view.
That is crazy.
We're talking to Mark Loch. He is the creative producer of Titanic, the exhibition. It is in Dallas right now. It has been in Moscow. It has been in Australia. It has been in Chicago. It's been around the world. We also have an experience for you to go to Dallas, courtesy of KRBE and Mark Loch, so you could see this for yourself. We have a lot more to talk about with what Mark has brought us with artifacts as we have this conversation about this exhibit. There's one exhibit, I don't know, does your exhibit include any of the piece of the ship, like a iron piece of the ship. I think
Big
that
side
one
of the ship?
Yeah.
That's in Vegas still.
Oh, is it in
Okay.
Yeah,
Vegas?
because
okay.
you move that once, kind of. We traveled
say,
it.
how
It's
do you
Part of
do
the
that?
hull is what you're saying.
side of the hull, exactly.
And how does that
right.
work? Do you have a team
Yes.
that
How do you get that?
each time moves, or do you hire like 3-man movers, or do you?
Three-man movers. Yeah, exactly.
Like how do you? You have a
You
special
can
team that
imagine.
takes you from Chicago, and you go, okay, guys, we're gonna do this.
We're going to Australia now.
It was in Chicago, that piece that you're
okay.
referencing, but it got moved into that because it was so difficult to move into the exhibition in Vegas. But it's the side of the ship. It's got the overlapping steel plates, the iron rivets, the portholes. It's a pretty compelling piece.
How do you move it, Mark? How do you
Yeah, I
move
move all
like
this stuff.
even this experience in Dallas? You moved it from Chicago. You moved it from Australia. What kind of a team? How many months does this take, or days, or weeks?
Well, yeah, setting up the exhibition in Dallas, for instance, that was about the actual install about 6 weeks. But you get all the theatrical. You build the grand staircase, you put up the lighting, you put up the speakers, you put up the graphics and the flooring, and then everything is clean and perfect, and then the artifacts are
That's
installed.
amazing. Mark, so they discovered the Titanic, in 1985, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the wreck of the Titanic.
At what point in your life do you say, oh, this is going to be my life's work, my ambition?
Boy, that's a story, and I know we probably don't have time
We
for
do
it.
have time. We're going to come right
We'll
back
come
because
back
I
and
have
tell
a
us
chance
that.
for the experience to be given away, and you're going to tell us
And what's
how
an
did you
experience?
become the creative producer of this exhibit. The experience you have a chance to win coming up next are 2 platinum tickets that include fast entry, free souvenir photo, and a free VR experience. You get a $100 gas card because it's in Dallas.
Wow.
You get a $100 restaurant gift card so you can get some food when you get there, and a hotel for 2 for one night.
That's
so
awesome.
We have a lot to give away for you, and we have more to talk about with Mark Loch as he's brought us artifacts from Titanic, the exhibition, next on The Rule and Ryan Show with Eric.
RBE, The Rule and Ryan Show with Eric.
All right, my friends, here is what we are doing today. We are giving you an experience like no other. It is called Titanic, the exhibition. It is in Dallas. And we have a chance for you to score 2 platinum tickets that include fast entry, free souvenir photo, and a free VR experience there. A $100 gift card, a $100 restaurant gift card, and a hotel for 2 for one night to go see this experience. Mark Loch, who is the creative producer of this exhibition, is here in our studio with actual items from the exhibition
And he came here
our studio.
He came here just for us. Like he was in Dallas. He was in Florida, right? You were in Florida before.
Florida yesterday, drove down last night, and here we are.
I asked Mark during the break, can you tell us a little background on how you became the Titanic guy? Because it is a small pocket of humans on this planet that have done what you have done, gone down to the wreckage site, work with the exhibits, work with the people surrounding the exhibits. How long have you been doing this, Mark?
And it's one of those stories that never should have happened.
Yeah.
27 years ago, I got a call from someone I didn't know, very aggressive on the other line, courteous, but I picked up the phone. He said, "Is this Mark Loch?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "I hear you're the only guy to design my Titanic exhibition."
Really?
I was
Who
like,
was that
wow.
person?
Yeah, who is this person? I thought the same thing.
Who are you?
And why did he pick me? Because I haven't done anything like that before in my life. Now,
It's not like you worked for a museum
No.
and you were like a
What
docent
had
or
you
something.
done
I don't
prior
know.
to that?
I'd seen the movie.
Yeah. But I mean, what was your line of work?
Well, it was in the entertainment business.
Okay.
It was music. It was doing displays, theater,
Like
that
theatrics
sort of
for, like,
thing.
concerts
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah, exactly. Well, yes, producing shows that way. And I remember hearing this guy because he was doing something in Orlando. I live in St. Petersburg,
Okay.
hour and 45 minutes apart. And I said to him, at the end of it, I said, "Boy, it sounds wonderful, but you got the wrong guy. This was a multi-million-dollar thing, and
Right.
to trust me, he thought he could. I knew better. So I said, "Thank you very much. I wish you well, but you got the wrong guy." Hung up the phone. I thought, man, I could do that. I'd be perfect for that. Then the confidence builds.
Yeah.
Somehow I say to myself, if he calls back tomorrow, like it's
I'll
his
say
job,
yes.
I'll say yes. He called back the next day. I said no again.
Why?
Yes.
Are you kidding
that
me?
same insecurity.
Scared again?
Yeah, exactly. I hung up the phone the second time. He calls back third day in a row. Fortunately, he knew nothing because there were 1,000 people more qualified than I was to do it. And, I said, why don't I drive over and let's talk about this? And I went over to Orlando. Confidence started to build a little bit. Thought this would be a great mix of entertainment meets something real,
Yeah, history.
And it turned out to be, since Titanic and over the years, done the King Tut exhibition. worked on the Saturday Night Live exhibition, where, kind of embedded there for 6 months at SNL, putting that exhibition together, other cultural things. And I've really found kind of the perfect fit for me.
Well, people say that you should definitely be narrating the Audible for Titanic. They love your storytelling. And actually, if you go to the Titanic exhibition in Dallas, Mark is the voice of the VR experience, right?
Yes, and the VR experience takes you down as if you're in the sub as well. So I thought, I've got to be part of that and narrate what that's all about.
Well,
That is so
right
cool.
now, Mark, the Netflix series about the Titan disaster.
Yeah. Have you seen that
the
yet?
Submersible. And I know you had a friend on that.
Yeah, P.H. Nargelet, the Frenchman. Yeah.
And we were saying off the air how, that's a tough thing, too, because people are watching that. And you having been down in a submersible that was proper and getting to the ocean floor and coming back up, seeing what happened there and losing a friend. Somebody asked the question on text, can you ask Mark the difference between the sub that he went on versus what he knew of the Titan that imploded?
It's a
Could
good
you
question.
tell something?
Yeah, not an expert with submersibles, but I will
Right.
tell you this. The Russian Mir 1 and Mir 2 that you saw in James Cameron's film, one of the, although they've been retired now, the ones that Cameron went down in, that I went down in, were cutting edge of technology.
Okay.
They were taken all around the world to do deep sea research. They were safe. They were the best. And I did see the Netflix special recently.
So with Ocean Gate, they developed the Titan.
Yeah, and I held off my opinion on that. I got some calls from press right after that happened, and I, wasn't the right time to be critical. But if you watch that documentary, you realize there were some shortcuts taken.
The negligence was unbelievable.
Yeah, and motivated by, got to pay the bills, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
And just a tragic ending. There was never an intention that it was going,
They didn't want that.
that would
Sure,
happen.
of course not.
But for PH to be lost, and we memorialize him in the exhibition because he's known as Mr. Titanic.
And tell us his background for those that don't know him. Why was he Mr. Titanic?
Well, he'd been down multiple times. He was a deep sea expert. He's the guy that CNN calls if a plane goes down in the ocean. I mean, he knows that.
Yes.
And he was about as gracious and kind and soft-spoken a person as you could ever imagine. And we weren't, super close, but he always made me feel very special and somebody that will be missed for sure.
God bless
So
him.
sorry.
and
So
eternal
the
peace.
Titanic was missing for 73 years.
Yeah.
How was it found?
Well, speaking of the French, there was a joint effort between the Woods Hole Institute, Bob Ballard, and the French Oceanographic Institute, and they were looking for the wreck specifically, and they got some new information, and they started to what's called mow the lawn with a sonar device, looking for an abnormality on the ocean floor. And when they found that, and then they took cameras down, and that first, you'll see that in some documentaries, they saw one of the boilers, the large coal-burning boilers on the ocean floor. And because that's right where the Titanic broke in half, right? That the boilers started to spill out. We have a boiler room in the exhibition, of course.
Wow.
But that's when the discovery was made.
And how does that work? How do you plant your flag to say, I found it, it's mine? Or
Yeah,
at
it's
first I
interesting.
got dibs?
It's interesting.
Like, how do you
especially the recovery, because those teams did not get the exclusive salvage rights. And I'm out of my element a little bit with the legal side of this, but if you're first to recover a piece, especially within the courts, you now have the salvage rights. The team that does that now, they have to report back to the courts. They do an incredible job of taking care of the artifacts, preserving, conserving, and taking them around
Off there,
the
we were
world.
talking about, because I said, did you ever find like money down there and stuff? And what were you saying about the luggage?
Well, that's what's incredible, and I, if you don't mind, a good story about that.
That's a good story.
Anything in leather is, first of all, it might be personal, right? It's a suitcase, it's a wallet, it's a
Glasses
satchel,
case, a
yeah,
satchel,
exactly. And so, and the reason that we know something inside is most likely preserved is the chemicals used to tan leather repel the microorganisms that otherwise would eat away at a postcard or a dollar bill or a love letter, right? It protects them. And speaking of that, here's the story I'll never forget. When one of the subs came up in the evening, they took, as we talked about earlier, the conservation team removed the objects from the trays underneath the sub. And one was very curious to all of us. It looked like a small sleeping bag. It was like a satchel rolled up on itself. It's like, what is that? So I followed it into the lab, and usually things go right back into salt water because you want to take some time to get the salts out.
Oh.
And so that's a process that happens over time.
Okay.
But they took that piece and put it right. It's a very sophisticated lab right out there in the middle of the ocean.
Wow.
And it's always hard to describe this because it happened all at once. But they took this piece, they undid a tie around it, and started to unroll it right in front of us. And all at the same time, we saw 64 small glass vials about the size of your little finger. They all had a cork in them. They all had liquid in them, and they had a label. And at that very moment, for the first time, that lab was filled with these beautiful fragrances.
Oh, wow.
Usually it's not so great in there as far as the smell.
I would bet. Yeah.
Good point.
What these were 64 perfume vial samples. Oh, my gosh. And stamped on that was a guy's named Adolphe Saalfeld.
Mm-hmm.
Still controversy whether it's Adolphe or Adolf.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a perfume salesman heading to New York to go to the department stores.
Sell his
But that
perfumes.
moment to see these fragile glass vials and lavender and lemon, these labels.
And the
paper,
labels were still, you could still read that it
Like,
said lavender or
75
lemon.
years or how many
like
years
they were
older?
printed yesterday. Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
grief.
Yeah.
That is
so I'll never forget that,
really
especially
amazing.
and we all just like,
Did they ever take those perfumes and like sell them as Titanic perfumes? Like, they could take a little
Yeah,
piece.
they could. They
every
could.
good exhibition has a good gift shop.
Yes, that's right.
So they
We're
duplicated it. Okay.
We're talking to Mark Loch. He is the creative producer of Titanic, the exhibition. It is in Dallas. It has traveled the world. The closest it's gotten to us is Dallas. So that's why we have a chance for you to get there. I'll do it at the end because I want to hear all of Mark's stories, but he has brought us pieces that they've brought from the exhibition. He's already told us, if you've missed the first half of this, find it on podcast. We have a piece of the actual grand staircase in the studio right now with us. And what are these dishes, Mark, that you brought?
This is
postcard, too.
a very
Postcard.
small teacup and saucer. And as we sort of referenced earlier, Titanic, nothing on Titanic had something, it didn't say Titanic on the
China. It said RMS.
China.
Weren't there
The
three
silverware.
ships? There were three.
Yes, identical.
Identical
The Olympic
ships.
was the first to sail. The Titanic was 2nd And then originally it was called the Gigantic, the third. But the PR folks at the White Star Line said, we really promoted this bigger is better. So
Yeah,
let's pull that.
I
And they ended up renaming it the Britannic. So there was first class China, second class China, third class China. And then there was the very elite, only for the Titanic pattern, and that's what this is.
Wow.
It's Spode brand, and those of your listeners
Spode.
that
Yeah, I know
there you
Spode,
go.
the Christmas China.
Okay, cobalt blue and gold,
Pretty.
and not recovered from the ocean floor, not recovered from the ocean surface, but on the Titanic. How did that happen?
How?
Well, Titanic sailed from Southampton on April 10th.
Right.
Then it went to Cherbourg, France to pick up some passengers.
Right.
Then it went to Queenstown, Ireland, and then off to New York.
Yes.
Well, you could book passage from Southampton to Cherbourg or Southampton to Queenstown.
Get off.
Correct. You could have
And you
survived
get
the
up.
Titanic because you weren't on it on that last day.
You were on
Did
it,
people
but you
steal
weren't.
them?
right.
You know how you take a
People.
towel from the Holiday Inn?
They're stolen pieces
Exactly.
of China.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
And how did? And then so who came forward like 100 years later saying, "I think my great grandma took this from the
Well, that's
visit."
exactly what it was.
Oh, my gosh.
And I don't know. We're not
Yeah,
disclosing
yeah,
disclosing
yeah.
anything.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh my
but-
God, that's
And
hilarious.
this was only in the most exclusive of the first class cabins that had a private promenade deck. So it kind of, the humor, I guess, about it is even if you're one of the richest people in the world, you go, I'm taking that with me.
People love to sneak stuff.
Oh God!
right.
Tell us about the postcard that you have there, Mark.
I love this. I love it as a connection, an emotional connection to the story. Leonard Taylor, 19 years old, first sailing, was hired to be an attendant in the Turkish bath for the first class passengers, a cold plunge, if you will.
Yes.
Titanic had a private gymnasium for the first class passengers. It had a private swimming pool, and it had this Turkish bath. And this photograph, and it still blows my mind, was taken at the docks. The front of the postcard was taken at the docks of Southampton. And this was mailed on April 5th. All right. Now, she arrived just days before. So, we take something into FedEx now or whatever. We get it back the next day.
Yeah.
But this postcard was made, and Leonard Taylor sent this to his mother on the. You see this handwriting on the back. He talks about the ship is. This postcard doesn't show how enormous it is, and he talks about his digs. That his digs are. He's excited about is obviously his voyage. Well, of course, as fate would have it, this was sent to his mother. Titanic sailed. He was lost in the sinking. Body never recovered. His mother was notified, and then this postcard arrived days later.
His handwriting.
Exactly.
Oh,
Expressing his
heartbreaking.
love for his mother.
And she decided to donate that,
That's
or
right.
the family estate
That's right.
donate that to the exhibit.
That's so interesting. Now, you said body never recovered. Have they ever found skeletal remains?
You know, that was, to be honest with you, when I was going out there and we're going down to the wreck, that rolled around in my head as well. Once again, not knowing the specifics, but the answer is no. Let me start with that.
Okay.
And something about the pressure at the bottom of the ocean. Remember, most folks were on the surface, right? Few were trapped. One of the great love stories, the Strausses, right?
Yes, the Strausses.
They decided to return to their cabin. They were elderly.
So that was real.
Hold on to each other. That was real. That was the beauty about Cameron's film. You know, Jack and
But some-
Rose, that was fictional. But there were so many things that were historic and right. Yeah.
It is Mark Loch. He is the creative producer of Titanic, the exhibition. It is in Dallas. Sorry, you can't just pack it up and bring it down here, Mark. But we're going to send people
It's so easy
to
to get
Dallas
there, though. You
to
get
see
to
it.
Dallas in a couple hours.
Yes,
4 hours.
this has traveled the world, and Mark has been the creative producer of many exhibits that maybe you have visited, but this is one of the biggest ones because it has so many iconic items. You have put your soul into this, Mark. I can tell you have lived at Titanic. You've been down to the wreckage site, and we have a chance right now for you. If you are caller 104 at 833-390-KRBE, you are going to score 2 platinum tickets. It includes fast entry. It includes a free souvenir photo and the free VR experience. We'll give you a $100 gas card to get to Dallas. We'll give you a $100 restaurant gift card to Medea from scratch, and we'll give you the hotel room for 2 people for 1 night. If you are caller 104, again at 833-390-KRBE. We have seen the piece of the grand staircase. We have seen the dishes that somebody swiped in first class.
Yes.
We've seen the postcard, but how long? I would take 3 hours in this exhibition, Mark. How long does it take to go through it?
As long as you'd like. That's the beauty of it. It is what in our business, now I'm in the business, right,
Yeah,
for 25 years. It's called a forced path, meaning you kind of go the way we want you to go because there's a storyline, but you can go backwards. You can take as long as you like. The average stay, I'd say about an hour and a half, but you want to spend the afternoon there, you can do it. Yeah. One of my favorite things, we give each guest a boarding pass, and you may remember this. Yeah. And initially we're like, well, what's this going to mean to people? And it wasn't really, it's fractions of a penny for each person to get a piece of paper. And I think people initially take it as a souvenir. And look, mom's in first class and dad's in third class, but it's all about It talks about a passenger aboard the Titanic, and a little bit about them.
Like you get the boarding pass and you are that passenger.
Oh, so you feel
and then
them.
you read on the back of the
that's so
story if
cool.
the person was saved or not.
Well, you don't get that.
Oh, you don't get that
information.
part? Okay.
At the end of the exhibition, there's a wall of all 2,300 names in alphabetical order, and people will not leave the exhibition
Until they find that name.
Until they find that name, their
That's so
name.
cool.
And it speaks to, I think, the connection with the passenger. But you're there with your family. And all of a sudden it becomes personal, how fragile life can be.
Right.
After all, this is the story of Titanic, the unsinkable ship, the hopes and dreams of so many, and for it to end so tragically speaks to all of us.
Most important question of the interview, Mark. Do you cruise for vacations?
I'm a cruiser. I like cruises.
You like cruising, Mark?
Real quick,
Never have.
Are there big
Never have,
are there
really?
big icebergs out there?
What's that? Oh,
in that-
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
in that area, like when
That's
you
an
were down
area.
there, like
Well, we were there. The only
summertime when
time
they
you can
did
really
it.
dive is August, September to be out there. So no icebergs then. But of course, that was a known area.
Have they ever identified the iceberg, the actual iceberg that Titanic hit?
This is a bit of folklore, but maybe true. When the Carpathia arrived, they saw an iceberg with paint. They thought paint on the side. Remember Titanic? If it would have hit the icebergs dead
Straight,
on,
yeah.
it wouldn't have
Fine.
sank,
Just
right?
straight.
Yeah, people would have been injured. Maybe people perished even because of falling out of their bunks or whatever. But because they scraped along the side and multiple watertight compartments were breached, that's why Titanic sank. And that line in the movie when Thomas Andrews, the designer, has gone down and done an inspection, right? And he comes back to Captain Smith and tells him, and they're looking at the plans, and Captain Smith looks up and he says, "What are you telling me?" He says, "Well, we're sinking, sir. This ship can't sink, sir. It's a mathematical certainty." And of course,
Wait a
2.5
minute.
hours later, it was on the bottom of the ocean.
Wow.
Oh, the chills I've had today with you, Mark Loch. Thank you so much for making an effort to get down here to our studios to talk about this exhibition. It's fascinating.
Be careful driving with that stuff.
I know. I'm going to do a little story at Radio Rule on Instagram during this break so we can show you Mark's.
I picture like he gets in his car and he's got the Titanic music track on. Soundtrack on.
And he's never been on a cruise. Maybe I should follow his lead. All right. If you missed what happened on Revenge today, you've got to hear how somebody was wronged by an ex or soon to be ex they knew was cheating on them.
Sarah
And they
and
took
Larry.
matters into their own hands. Next on KRBE.